In this unit, we'll learn how to work with colors. More specifically, we are going to explore a variety of tools and functions, such as the eyedropper tool, the color guide panel, the swatches, and the swatches libraries. So let's begin. We already had a look through on how to actually use our main color panel, where you just change the values of the colors and you amend the colors of your composition. Whenever a new project comes in and looking for a color palette, what I usually do is look at imagery related to the brand or any kind of references that I have that they can help me define the kind of colors that I need to apply. Sometimes you might be lucky, as in this project here where I was designing a jewelry brand and they had some photography of their collection. Sometimes you just need to invent a perfectly new palette. What I usually do is actually taking pictures of palettes that I like in general, in nature and the city or anywhere around me. And I can always refer back to them whenever I'm looking for a color palette for a project. And what I usually do is bring in the reference image, which in this case is provided by the client. I create a little square with my rectangle tool and use the eyedropper tool to sample different colors from the image. The eyedropper tool is right here, or else is a shortcut as the letter I. You can click anywhere in the image and it's gonna sample that specific color. I'm gonna switch to my selection tool by pressing the V letter on my keyboard, and with the Alt and Shift key down, hold it down, I'm gonna create a clone of that and go ahead and sample a different color. And so on, I start creating a few different kind of shades that they can be used nicely for my palette. After I have quite enough of them, more than just 4 perhaps, I will go ahead and start amending them a bit. So this feels a bit too dull. While the brand has a young audience, it's a bit more bright, a bit more happy. So I'm gonna double click here on my color on the toolbar, and I have now this graph here showing me all the shades of that color. So I want it a bit brighter, so I'm gonna go ahead and move a bit the indicator on the top there, and I'm gonna amend my color. Same applies for this nice light blue. I want it to be a bit more vivid. And so on, I'm gonna actually amend the colors till I get to an outcome like this one, for example, here, which was the final palette for this jewelry brand I created. Now that I have all the colors, it's quite good because I can actually start applying them to the different elements of the brand. It's quite handy to actually save them somewhere so you can easily refer back to them. You can actually create a little library with them using the swatches panel, which you will find under Window and then Swatches. It's gonna pop you up this panel and it's gonna indicate a few colors. And the way it works is you select any kind of shape that you want to apply color at, you click on the color and the color gets applied to that. But of course in this scenario here I don't want to use the existing colors, I want to create my own palette. What you need to do is select the shape that has within it the color that you want to use, go to the 3 little lines and select New Swatch. You press OK and the swatch will be added as a little box here. And now if I'm gonna click on any other shape and then the color, I'm just gonna apply to it. Having so many colors is a bit of a pain to add them one by one to your swatches. So what you can do is select all of them together and then click on the 3 lines and select New Color Group. On this panel, press OK and it's gonna create a little folder, as you can see, with all the colors that I'm actually using. I can now go to the branding of this jewelry brand. You can see the little icon I designed for it using my pen tool and my imagination, of course. I can select the background, color it with one shade and the shape with another, and so on. Roll out the brand and see how all the colors are looking together. So I'm just gonna apply randomly few colors on few different shapes so we can see what we created thus far. You're gonna perhaps need to tweak your colors a bit and apply them in different shapes till you're happy with the outcome. It's not like a 5 minutes work or something. You can still use your eyedropper tool, so pressing the letter I and selecting a color from around your canvas to be applied. So up to you if you want to go quickly to your swatches or use the eyedropper tool to sample a color that you already have on your canvas. Let's apply a color to all of them so we can have a good range of the different colors of the palette and have a look on how we can further amend it if we want to. We are missing kind of perhaps a bit of a yellow background. Yes, that's good. Now we have a good look and feel about the color palette that we used, and we can better understand it. But let's say that I'm not that happy with that dark green, yeah? What I can do is go ahead and double click on the swatch. If I'm gonna enable preview, you will see if I move the cursors, you will see how the color gets changed based on the new values that I give on the specific color. It's a really comfy way to save your colors and then easily amend them without having to select every single object on your canvas that has this specific color. I would strongly suggest you to actually use this function. It makes your life way easier. Once you're happy with the new palette, you just press OK and it automatically gonna update the specific color with the new one. But that only happens if you have the global function enabled, which is this little indicator here. You see this little triangle that on the top shapes it doesn't exist, and that is the global function, which means if I'm gonna change the swatch, it's gonna automatically update all the shapes that they're using this color with the new color that I apply to the swatch. If, for example, I was using one of the existing ones here, if I double click now and change the swatch, you will see that it's not gonna update it. Well, if I'm gonna enable the global function and press OK, and then apply it again to my shape and amend it again, you will see that now it actually updates it. So make sure you have the global function enabled while working with your palette. If you want to access the existing libraries of colors, what you need to do is click on this little swatch here, and it's gonna get you to all the existing palettes that they're within Adobe Illustrator, such as, let's see, Art History, Ancient, and you're gonna get some colors related to that specific theme. What you can also do is save a color palette. Click on the three little box, then you go Save Swatches. You just leave it where it is. That is the right place to actually save it. You're gonna name it however you like, then leave it to swatch files and press save. And now you should be able to access it from the swatches panel again. So I'm just gonna drag that panel here. You will be able to access it from here, user defined at the bottom, and then you see lesson 1 color. And it's gonna pop you up the panel with the swatches that you saved. It's really comfy, especially if you spend some time to create some palettes that you like, because you can always access them through any document and apply some different color palettes to your illustration. So this is, for example, the bright colors, which I'm actually gonna drag the folder within my current swatches, just to have it ready if I want to use it at some point. Another thing that you can do with your swatches is, of course, to delete them. All these preset colors, I'm not actually planning to use them. So what I will do is click on the first one, hold the shift key down, and click to the last one that I actually want to delete, and then click on the delete swatch icon, the little bin on the bottom right of that panel. Press OK on that and swatches are gone. I'm gonna bring another kind of palette. Let's put nature and flowers. I'm gonna grab a few palettes and drag them on the swatches so we can see how they can be applied to the branding. One way is to just select every single object and recolor it. Or the other way is to use the color guide that I'm gonna talk to you in a second about. I'm gonna go ahead and switch to see the full branding, which is including both the icon as well as the logo for this brand, the ISO jewelries. I'm gonna click on the image because I don't want to change the color of the image, and I'm gonna go ahead and lock it by pressing Command 2 or Control 2 on Windows. I'm actually gonna select all the other shapes. Now I'm gonna try to apply the different palettes that we saved onto these shapes so we can see which one is working better. All you need to do is go to Window and then click on Color Guide. And from that panel, click on this little icon that says Edit or Apply Colors at the bottom right here, where it's gonna get you to the Recolor Artwork panel. If you have a bigger screen, you should be able to see a bit better in parallel, like your new colors applied with your illustration, or in this case, because it's taking all the space, what I'm gonna do is cancel that, zoom out a bit, yeah, so something like this, and click again on my color wheel so I can see actually what I'm doing. Perfect. I need to also select the shapes that I want to apply the transformation at. You can see from on this panel here, we have a few different options. First of all, here we have the original colors that we were using, and next to it, the new colors that we applied instead. You can either manually select the new color and change it from the bottom part here. If you are not familiar with HSB colors, you can use the RGB instead, if that makes your life easier. What you can also do is use the color groups that you have here. And the color groups are the groups that we saved on our swatches. So these are the original colors, and this is a new palette that we created, and the other that they were more the earthy kind of colors. Just by clicking on the color groups, you change the colors of the composition that you can see and your artwork behind. Now let's say we want to stick with the original color palette, but I don't like the way that it applied the color, so I don't want this background to be yellow, I want it to be something different. So I can either select and change the color individually, or I can click on this icon here where it says randomly change color order. And this is going to apply the colors of the palette in different kind of random order. And so you can see how the colors are working together and also how to actually place them in a random way on your illustration, on the branding in this case, and so on. The second icon here allows you to randomly change the saturation and the brightness of your colors. So I'm gonna click through that and you see how the new colors are a bit more dull or a bit more vivid correspondingly. So let's go back and switch again to the a bit more normal palette. The last icon here is to click and find the colors on the artwork. Other important thing about this panel is the edit part. We are working thus far just on the assigned side. If you click on the edit, you have this color wheel which shows you all the colors that you're currently using. If I'm gonna grab one and try and move it, you will see that all of the colors are moving together and the colors are changing. So it's kind of an easy way to switch a palette by keeping the same color harmony. So the same distance from one color to another. If you want to be able to freely move each color individually, you need to unlink from here the harmony of the colors. And then I should be able to just grab each of them individually and move them around and change their colors. The second icon here allows you to display the colors in a segmented color wheel, having a bit more specific colors and making your life easier to pick, perhaps with less options. The last one, it's gonna display the colors into bars. It's just different preview ways. And you have again here on the right to randomly change the order of the colors as well as the saturation, the brightness. What I usually use is this color wheel, which is the best way in order to see all the colors together, and it gives you the most of the information you need. Another thing that you can do is use the libraries that Illustrator provides you with and eliminate a bit the color options that you have. So let's say that I want kid stuff. So it's gonna give me just colors that they are related to the theme, so a bit more happy perhaps, and so on. I can add a color with the add color tool, so I'm just gonna select it and click to add an extra color, or I can also remove a color if I don't want it to be on the wheel anymore. From here I can just change the saturation and the number of the colors that I'm actually using. I'm gonna go ahead and change here to none and then change randomly the color order in order to get an interesting outcome. Once I'm happy with the outcome, I just press OK to apply the color transformation that I want to my composition. And of course you can change some of the colors of your palette to make them nicely work together. For example, I'm gonna grab this red here and perhaps change it to something a bit more dark like this green. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch perhaps this logos here to something a bit slightly brighter so they make a nicer contrast with the background. I can go ahead and switch few of the colors till I'm perfectly happy with the composition and the outcome. Color is about exploring the possibilities, so take your time and play with it, and you will get to the best possible outcome. In the next unit, we will talk about gradients, and I will show you how to use the mesh tool.